questions such as, is accumulating $1 million in the CPF account really a myth, or is it a reality? What can an average Singaporean do to build the nest egg up for a comfortable retirement lifestyle? Mr. Loo Cheng Chuan, the founder of 1 million by 65 years old, $1 million by 65 years old, also called 1M65 movement, will be sharing on CPF investment strategies that are helping many Singaporean couples become millionaires at retirement. He was one of the few non-civil servants to be awarded the Public Sector Transformation Award in 2018 for his 1M65 efforts. In 2018, Loo and his wife crossed $1 million in their CPF savings at 45 years old, proving many 1M65 skeptics wrong. Without further ado, let us invite Mr. Loo Cheng Chuan, founder of the 1M65 movement, to share with us his winning strategy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining me on this Saturday afternoon. For me, it's in the morning because I'm right now in Europe, and Europe is a different environment. Okay, and I hope everybody is safe and sound in Singapore. The topic I'm going to cover, and to spice it up a little bit, I've tweaked the title to be called Becoming a CPF Multi-Millionaire. Nowadays, becoming a CPF millionaire is not so exciting anymore, so I've actually jazzed it up to be covering a topic called Becoming a CPF Multi-Millionaire. So I think this will be much more exciting than to cover a 1M65, but a more than 1M65 strategy. Okay. And by the way, if you have any questions, you can actually write down. I think there is a question box for you to type in, and I'll try as much as possible to answer a question. I'll go pretty fast and to allow more time during Q&A, okay? Although I've got many slides to cover. The first disclaimer is that I really don't work for a CPF board, and neither do I work for a Singapore government. I don't collect a single cent for doing this, and I've done this talk many times, and I've never collected a single cent for doing this. So this is really something that I'm doing for non-profit, and this is really a social movement. Okay. As we embarked on this journey many years ago on this movement, we need to first address this issue. Okay, the CPF is one of the most powerful money-making machine for many Singaporeans. Okay, it helps many Singaporeans to be able to make a lot of money, and yet it is badly misunderstood by many, and as a result, many Singaporeans miss out their golden opportunity to make a lot of money out of the CPF. Okay, and I'm here to address some of this myth, and also to tell you how I made money using a CPF, so that many of you can change your attitude towards your own CPF. I know some of you all don't like the CPF board. I understand. I think some of you all also don't like the CPF policies. I understand. And some of you don't even like the government of Singapore. I understand. Okay. You don't need to love the Singapore government. You don't need to love the CPF board. You just need to love their money. Okay. So if the CPF board gives you money, will you take or not take? Okay. So there's no emotions involved in this. Okay. Either something is money making or it's not money making for you. Okay. So you do not need to have any emotional judgment about this CPF board. So a little bit of history. In 1997, I just graduated from NUS. I graduated with a NUS economics degree, thinking that I was very smart. I actually went to dabble a lot with the stock market. I even rushed to buy a HDB flat, just a small home HDB flat then with my wife. And 1997, some of y'all may realize what happened. 1997, Singapore was hit by the Asia financial crisis. The Asian financial crisis hit Singapore really badly. Okay, and it's only on par, matched by the current pandemic crisis. It was really very bad. Okay, and I lost $100,000 at 24 years old. Now that basically made me a bankrupt, but fortunately I was saved by my father, who is not a rich man; he's just a primary school teacher. And from that day onwards, I realized that, hey, I really got to, really got to beef up my financial literacy. I was very fortunate that I met a financial mentor, and that changed my life. Okay, and my financial mentor taught me something about financial literacy, and really in the initial years, I was brought to know how to build about compounding and how to build a financial safety net, which I'll talk about shortly. So this is the concept of compounding. For some of your compounding, you may know, and some of your compounding seems very far away. Some of your may be a mathematical thing. I just want to put it in a simple way that everybody can understand. Okay, if you put a 1% interest, if you put $1 into something at 1% interest, okay, after 30 years, you basically get almost $1 the same. Okay, and by the way, the banks right now are earning this kind of interest rate. So putting money in bank right now is only for security, is not for money making. Okay, but if you find something that gives you 4%, okay, 4% in 30 years, you just throw money there and leave it there and just go on with your life. In 30 years' time, you become $3.24. Okay, and if you jump a quantum leap from a 4% to a 10%, in 10 years' time, you become $17. Okay, now I was being brought upon this concept of compounding, right? Compounding, and the compounding graph goes like this. Okay, it goes like this. It doesn't go straight. Okay, it goes like this, curve up. So the initial years is quite boring, but later it curves up. And this is quite important as I explain the concept shortly. So even Einstein, who discovered the theory of relativity, quantum physics, and all the very chim thing, okay, he actually says this: the compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Okay, and whoever understands it will earn it. Okay, if you don't understand compounding, you will give it to the person like me, okay, who understands compounding. So you better understand compounding, because it's the secret to money making in a big way. So I was looking all around the world, looking for what is a good way to make extra compounding interest rate. And unfortunately or fortunately, the only thing I can find that is really very good is the CPF. The CPF have 3 accounts below 55, and when you are post 55, you add 1 more account. There's an ordinary account that makes you 2.5% interest, and then there's a special account that makes you 4%, and then there is a MediSave account, which also gives you a 4%. Many of you don't know that even the MediSave account gives you 4%. So it's 2.5, 4, 4. And then somewhere along the years, the government decided for the first 60,000, they give you 1 more %. So you effectively, for the first $60,000, in a special account, you can get 5%. Now 5% at risk-free, risk-free. And then, when you are above 55, an additional 30,000, they give you an additional 1%. So it's 4 to 6% interest. Now some of you say, "Alamak, the government take my money and lock it up, and then after that don't give me back." If you think about it in a more positive way, sometimes locking up money and letting it grow is actually a good thing, so that your itchy hand won't go and touch it and go and stupidly go and invest in some other thing that causes you lose money. So it is a powerful tool to let it compound, okay? And I found that, wow, at that point in time in 1997, 2001, I think even up to 2003, everything looked so gloomy. There was 1997 was the Asian financial crisis. 2001, there's a dot-com bust, and then there was a September 11 crisis, and finally in 2003 there was a Bali bomb blast. Everything looked so bad. Forget it. Just throw money in the CPF and then live life as usual. Okay, and this is the secret formula. It doesn't work. Okay, this is a secret formula to how I create a financial safety net. So this safety net has changed my life. So at about 30 years old, me and my wife decided we will max out our CPF MediSave account. Okay, so how do you do it? Is that at that point in time, the CPF minimum sum, that means the max you can put in, is about $100,000. Okay, and then MediSave about $30,000. So we max out both. And then, I'll max out, and then my wife at that point in time was thinking about it, so I maxed it out first. So end of the year, I decided, I look at in the beginning of the year, early in January, they issue a letter from CPF and says that this amount of interest you have. I said, wow, so many. So I can wave in front of my wife, see I got so much. Well, my wife said, I also want, so both of us raised. So we race, and compete each other, and eventually, both of us hit the max. If you have, at 30 years old, have $130,000 and it compounds at 4% interest, do you know what you'll become when you retire at 65? Yes, you become $1 million combined husband and wife. Okay, some of you say, yeah, this one house this combined are not alone. Later, akan datang, I'll talk about it. Okay, but combined, you have $1 million. Some of you say $1 million is more. It's not enough for me. Okay, for you, maybe not enough, but I think for 90% of Singaporeans, it's more than enough. Okay, because majority of Singaporeans don't even have anything close to that at retirement because they simply didn't know about this formula and didn't apply it. So me and my wife decided we have put in a minimum sum, and that from that day onwards, we know that at 65 years old, we will have $1 million waiting for us. But that assumes that we do not need to work forever from 30 years old to 65, and we'll still have $1 million. I think some of you catch snowball, so I'm going to talk about this again. Okay, at 30 years old, if you put $130,000 in the account, your wife put $130,000 into the special account and MediSave account, you do not need to work anymore for the rest of your life, and you're still at retirement have $1 million. Which means that if you continue to work, you'll continue to accumulate your CPF, right? You think you only have $1 million when you retire, okay? So at 48 years old today, okay, at 40 years old today, my wife and I have $1.5 million in our CPF account. At 45 years old, we already crossed 1 million, and the accumulation go very fast, just go very fast. Because we are at this, I told you the initial years are very flat. Now we're at this bend right now. This is how compounding works. At the rate we are going, I'm now 48, going to 49 this year, okay? So what will we have in future, Okay, what will our combined CPF account be in future? Let's make some prediction, okay? So COVID time was very good because I have a lot of time to sit at home, use spreadsheet and calculate. So when I first work out in Excel to predict what my CPF would be at 65 years old, when the number came out, I was shocked. So I didn't believe it. So what I did was that I asked my 1865 movement experts, and 1865 movement we have a Telegram group that has 15,000 people inside. Okay, so I asked for Excel and financial experts to help me verify my Excel sheet. Okay, so I sent it to the group of 13 experts, and they helped me verify. You know what? My calculation turned out to be right. Okay, in fact, it was slightly wrong on the low side. Okay, most of them calculate a higher figure. So what will my CPF, my wife and my CPF combined together be? Okay, at 65 years old, you'll be $3.5 million at 65 years old, assuming we do nothing different. Okay, we continue to earn our income. Okay, don't need to be high income. A monthly income of 6,000 and above. Okay, above 6,000 are useless because the CPF only care about up to $6,000. And the rest of it continue to be as usual, okay? Take note, whether you're high income or low income, it doesn't really matter, okay? Because the government has put in a lot of check and balances to make sure that the rich does not take advantage of the CPF. So this one is not so much a ability of the rich, but it's ability of whether you start early and you know your know-how, okay? So as long as we continue to do our job, earn our income, and just continue to contribute, let it just progress, we have $3.5 million, okay? And by the way, the calculator has now been made into a website by one of my members, and it's available in my Telegram group, which I'll share later about my Telegram group, okay? Now, but I'm not gonna let the ordinary account sit there and do nothing, earning 2.5% interest, not so exciting anymore. So what I do and what I actually have done is that I invest quite a lot of my OA into an S&P 500 ETF. Okay, that's powered by a company. There's only one way you can do it in Singapore is you have to use a company or endowers to do it. But I invested quite a lot of it into it, not enough, but quite a lot of it. But let's say hypothetically, my wife and I invest all our OA into S&P 500. And assuming that the S&P 500 will return a 7% return, which is even much lower than their historical return over the last 100 years, okay? So what would the number be? Okay, instead of 3.5 million, you become $5 million. $5 million. That's how you become a multi-millionaire just using your CPF. I'm not even talking about my cash. Okay, I'm not talking about my house. I'm not even talking about, you know, I don't know what else do I keep. There's precious, you know, some of my you know, my precious. No, some of my precious. I don't think I have anything that precious, you know, my fishing rods or things like that. But anyway, my point is that just my CPF alone, my wife and I combined, if we have put money into S&P fund, which we do, by the way, you know, you will go up astronomically to a $5 million. Okay, 5 million plus, and when I poll this, when I make this discovery, I wrote an article about it. You know, wow, it generated a lot of interest. Okay, becoming a CPF multi-millionaire, and then someone actually told me that the theoretical limit is not 5 million combined; it's 10 million a person. And I actually went to calculate, and there's an article that I published out. Okay, so really, you know, now that is pushing the limit too far. So maybe 5 million is too big a stretch. Someone says, you know, I always lose money in stock market. Okay, don't invest too much in stock market. Okay, I think $4 million by 65 is very achievable. Okay, if you follow my journey. Okay, I'm already on the journey there. I'm already reaching there. Okay, I'm only 49, 48. I'm not even 49 yet. So 4 million by 65 is achievable. And by the way, for some of you who are interested in the CPF predictor or calculator, you can join us in our Telegram channel. I pinned up the link to the CPF calculator that one of our volunteers have made. So you can actually key in your CPF savings right now and projected income and things like that, and it pop out a number and tell you what you'll make. Okay, from there, you will shape your financial outlook. So that's how I built a multi-layer investment approach. Okay. So from 2001, after I built my financial safety net, I know that at $65 million, my financial guts was built up. I was very gutsy, okay? And then I invested a lot in the stock markets, even using cash. So my kung fu was being discovered by the CPF board, and CPF board came and interviewed me and Pa. And initially I didn't really want to talk about it because sometimes Chinese, when you make money, you want to keep quiet, right? But later I think, you know, this is not something I share with people. You'll cost me to make less money, right? So I said, I think it's good to share with people. So I started in 2015, and I start sharing about, you know, that it is a powerful machine, you know, called CPF. You can make this 1M65, right? There are people who don't believe it, and then they challenge my thinking, and they calculate it, and then they realize that, hey, Mr. Loo is right, okay? You can actually make $1 million, even $1 million not as a shared couple. You can make $1 million alone, okay? Alone by 57 years old. Just to share that, just now I said, you know, 1.5 million, me and my wife combined, I'm on a trajectory probably to become $1 million in my CPF alone, probably in a few months, okay? So day that happens, I'll write an article about it. Okay, you can look out for it. So then after that, you know, many people start to have a lot of disbelief in this thing. Okay, and the Straits Times came and interviewed me, and I shared about $1 million to CPF. This is my mentee. We're always talking about $1 million and $65 million and 65 by CPF. When it first came out in 2015, there was a huge amount of disbelief. Okay, huge amount of disbelief. And I get stoned terribly by the public whenever I mention about this. You know, wow, this guy is a CPF dog, man, so-called, you know, out to con people. I'm not even involved in the CPF. I'm not involved in the CPF board. You know, I don't even work for them. You know, but yet, you know, this is a powerful machine. This is a powerful machine that makes money. And over time, I decide, you know, I can share with people, and I share privately with people, and surprisingly, even the online citizen, I don't know whether online citizen exists today, even say that this strategy is one of the best to do, you know. And over time, I have more and more articles write about this, and over time, the mood of the public start to change. Today, when you talk about 1965, it is something that has generated a lot of interest and belief. I think my take is that we probably have a 60-40 or 70-30 right now in the public right now that believes in this movement. I don't need to defend nowadays whether CPF is a good investment tool or not. Okay, that era has passed a few years ago. Now the question is, how do we make even more money out of the CPF? Okay, how do we even juice more money out of it? Okay, so I've been invited to many talks such as this, and over time I start to share more and more. I give a lot of talks. Take note, I say again, okay? I've never collected a single cent from these talks, and today this talk is my 96th talk. I probably have miscounted. I probably maybe even 97, 98, but anyway, it's around the 96th talk. And I've probably spoken to no less than 20,000-30,000 people, and the movement. And I realized that myself alone to start a movement is very difficult. To run a movement, an effort is very difficult. So I started a movement in a Telegram group, in a WhatsApp group, and social media and YouTube, all this, and then we've inspired a lot more people to join in our movement. Today, our movement has 15,000 people, and we're all actively sharing about this. Okay, because this is something that every Singaporean needs to know. You may not want to follow it because you think that you might have a better strategy. So be it. Okay. I think there's a lot of people that ought to know this and enjoy this safety net that is available to us. Okay, so this is a hallmark of my presentation. That I was invited by CPF board to talk to. I was invited by CPF board to talk to CPF about CPF. Okay, and this is a big honor that was given to me. There was the CEO and the deputy CEO. Who invited me to speak about 1965, okay? And in 2018, I was awarded a public sector transformation award, usually only given to civil servant, because I probably work as hard as civil servant in sharing civil servant stuff, okay? So anyway, I realized that I can only talk so much, and I've got a lot of traveling to do and things like that. So I decided I started writing, okay? I started writing. So a lot of my articles, if you just Google my name, Loo Cheng Chuan, all the articles are there. Today are probably about 20, 30 articles that do not just talk about what CPF, but a lot about financial know-how, financial literacy. A lot of my articles are sharing with you how to make money in a very unusual way. And again, I'm not vested, I'm not selling any product. I'm not even in the financial industry. I've got nothing to sell you from a financial product perspective. It does benefit me nothing, okay, by sharing with you all this, okay? So, some practical tips for Singapore investors. First of all is that get your mind clear that do not think of CPF as a retirement tool, okay, or something the government is out to suck the blood out of you, okay? Think of it as a get-rich tool for you, okay? Get-rich tool for you because it's more motivating, okay? If I think of CPF board as a get-rich tool, I put the money there, you'll grow, and it's very motivating. You think of retirement, you think of Ape Amma downstairs, retiring and waiting to die, that kind of thing, right? But if you think of get-rich, it's very motivating. You buy, look at all these nice condo, handbags, and cars, right? Second thing is that there is a big challenge for many people because everybody wants to have this big Singapore property millionaire dream. And as a result, they use up all their CPF, okay? Minus this COVID property bull run, which is very abnormal, actually our property market has been very subdued, okay? And now this property bull run that we are experiencing right now is because a lot of the HDB flats cannot build fast enough and people jump into private property and people jump into HDB resale market, push up the entire property market. I have a YouTube video to talk about this way before the property bull run has started, okay? But I would encourage everybody to make a healthy balance between the property needs and the need to become a millionaire at retirement, okay? Try not to use your CPF, especially your MediSave. Your MediSave attracts a 4% interest. 4% interest compounds powerfully over a long period of time. But a lot of us like to use our MediSave for hospital stay, clinic stay, I don't know, dental and all this kind of thing, where actually we could use cash. Your CPF and your MediSave are very precious. As much as possible, don't touch it and let it compound, okay? Last story. Now, since we are on this topic of estate planning, I haven't shared this story for a long time, okay? But I thought why estate planning is important is, and I have a real life experience, okay? And, oh gosh, okay. Let me share with you my experience. In the year, I think 2015, my wife and I was in a plane, okay? SQ368 going from Singapore to Italy. Halfway in the plane, it went up. About 2 hours in the journey, we began to smell of kerosene in the cabin. And then the pilot decided they're going to turn back. I was thinking, isn't it very dangerous? We have some emergency landing in the nearest airport. But they decided they'll fly back and probably not so serious. So don't be so kanchong. But when the plane landed, the whole right wing where I was seated at caught fire. Okay, so you can see the fire in the slide right now. I was just sitting beside the fire. Caught fire, whole right wing was caught fire, huge fire, okay? And did I die? Fortunately, I didn't. And this is amazing Singapore Civil Defence or Airport Defence Fire Brigade efficiency, 7 fire engines came within a minute and put out the fire very quickly, okay? Now, the reason why I share this is because you can die. You can die very unexpectedly. How many of you have experience of sitting in a plane that caught fire or in an airline potential disaster? How many of you can predict when you're gonna die or when you're gonna get seriously incapacitated? So from that day onwards, we decided that okay, then we better set up our will and all the things properly and things like that. Okay, do not underestimate the need to set this up. Your CPF, you have to set a nomination, okay? And do not leave it to chance. Leave it to chance for your beneficiaries to sort this out, okay? Thinking that you have more years to go. Sometimes it's not the quantum of money, and it's the allocation that matters. There are family. There is a family I know of in Oxley Road, which I think most of them are very rich. Yet they are fighting over houses and things like that. Absolutely nothing to do with how wealthy they are. So I think it is something that when we are alive, we want to settle this very clean and clearly, and even possible, even articulate this and share this with your beneficiaries. Okay. So anyway, so with that, I think I am done with my talk. And by the way, if you can join us in our Telegram group, and more importantly, in my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel called 1965. And in YouTube channel, I publish a lot of videos with my daughter. We talk a lot about financial things and literacy. So we'll be happy for you to join us and subscribe to our channel. Join us in our Telegram group. It's called Loo 1965. And we'll be happy to answer questions and any things that you may have with my community experts as well. So with that, I will try to answer some questions. Gosh, there's so many questions. Okay, I'll be very quick about it. Okay. I would. Oh, how many questions are there? Oh, no, there's a lot of questions. Okay, I'll answer those that. I'll answer those that are. Sorry, I gotta take off my specs. I really can't see Lao Hua Yin. Okay, Mr. Loo, what choices or sacrifices do you have to do to max out a CPF account at a young age? Do you rent out instead of purchasing a house? Okay, that's a very good question. Now, to be frank with you, the sacrifice I make by using a CPF is not a lot. Okay, for some of you who try to save cash and things like that, the sacrifice is tremendous. But for me, it wasn't as much because my CPF can't be used for many things anyway, right? So the only one single big sacrifice I make is we buy a HDB flat, okay, and I stay in HDB flat from that day till now. Now I don't know how to say this without sounding pompous. I easily buy a landed property right now, but but I chose to stay in HDB flat because of certain choices that we make in life, and to let the CPF compound powerfully. Okay, so really the sacrifice we make is to stay in a HDB flat, and if possible, at an early age, some of you all do that. I've done 1 or 2 rounds, and sometimes you get fat bonuses, which is quite rare nowadays. You can put that into your CPF. Okay, so other than that, the sacrifices are not very big anyway. Now, some of you say, well, HDB, a bit susah, not. My mother-in-law, my wife, even myself, like to stay in the HDB flat. I like to stay in private property because it gives me more comfort, more face and things like that. That's a choice you make. I think money in the pocket. Between looking rich and being rich, which one do you want? Okay, I think I'm more happy with money in my bank and pocket. I'm also 49 years old right now. Is it possible for me to achieve 1 million CPF? The answer is it depends on what you have in your CPF today. I used to say that, by the time you retire, I, kind of pushing it. However, I changed my mind because nowadays people live very long. We now have presidents and prime ministers. President is 70 plus years old and prime minister is 90 something years old. So it is still very possible, to accumulate $1 million in CPF at your later years. May not be 65, but later age. Okay. There is nothing to invest safely for the money in SRS. Please help. Okay. The SRS is nothing to do with CPF. That's probably for another topic, but I'll just cover quickly. I'm a big believer of a S&P 500 because it compounds powerfully over the last 100 years. Okay. But that's just me. I'm not encouraging you to do it, but I do that. Okay. I know. I wish to know when I'm 30 years old, but now I'm 55. What can I do? Okay. There's a few things you can do right now. At 55 years old right now, you probably have children. Please impart their knowledge to them. Okay. And also possible, also impart their knowledge to their children's children, your grandchildren. Okay. That they need to not make the same mistake as you do. Okay. At 55 years old, you can max out as much as you can in your CPF and don't take it out. Okay. Because you're still probably working right now and you will work until 65 or 67 and maybe even 70 years old, right? Allow power of compounding to go on. You may not make $1 million, you may make $500,000 or $300,000. Any amount of money is better than not making anything right now. Okay. Next, I'll cover probably 2 or 3 more questions. What's your suggestion for Singaporeans who have bought a property using CFO in their mid-40s? How do they maximize CPF very soon as when they turn 55? For some of you all who have already made use of your money in your CPF and OA, one of the things you could do is to return the money using cash in your CPF, so that you let power compounding now turn in your favor. Okay, return your money. I think VHR or something, VHS, voluntary home refund scheme or something like that. So basically, you return your CPF, whatever you owe them, as early as possible, and let the power compounding takes its course. Okay. So with that, I think they disabled my questions, so I can't answer any more questions. Okay. I hope you join us. If you have any more questions, join us on our Telegram group, on our YouTube channel. As much as possible, myself or my community experts will help to answer some of the questions. It's an honor to be invited in this great event, and I wish that all of you all will become millionaires and multi-millionaires.